All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and if you are new, welcome too. It's been a long time since I said that. I have not been dropping videos because I just been running around like crazy. But I want to make sure that I came back with a really great video for you all. And we're switching up the style. We're doing it like a presentation today. Um, and we're just going to be focused on the clothing production process, as you can see, more specifically focused on cut and sew. But everything that you're going to be learning in this video can be applied to any kind of clothes that you make, whether it's printing on blanks or anything like that. This presentation, this is something I used to use with clients when I would do one-on-ones with them. We would usually start with this presentation and then I would go into Q&As. But I've been trying to upgrade everything, upgrade these presentations, create new resources and everything like that. So while I'm in that process, I said, why not make a video for you all using this presentation that I've had in the past? Still great information, everything still applies. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started and jump right into it. So obviously, this is a video about the process of clothing production, the cut and sew, all of that. So where does that start? Where is the beginning of that? In my opinion, and I've said it in previous videos, this beginning step is the most important out of everything. And that's going to be ideation and design. This is the foundation. If you look at the process like you're building a tall skyscraper or whatever, that foundation is going to impact every level that you put on top of it. So this is the point where you're pulling together references, you're figuring out what details you want, you're creating the design up here before you put on any sort of paper, before you make any mock-up, any tech pack, before it's time to communicate the design. We're just creating it up here. So what you see on this page, this is literally a screenshot from Pinterest. That's typically where I like to go. But there's plenty of other websites out there. If you look up fashion mood boards or anything like that, you should be able to find something that works specifically for you. But the reason I like Pinterest is because they have, I guess, like an algorithm or a feature that finds photos similar to the ones that you like or the ones that you select first, and it just does the work for you. Like it starts to understand what you're looking for. So this right here, this is a past mood board. I didn't even know where I was going, but it was just a feeling. I was really into technical materials, utility, things that made the clothes like very functional. Now, some people may think that referencing is stealing. That is completely wrong. All good artists are going to reference. And the good thing about when you're making clothes is that the more things that you reference, the the more things you reference, the harder it's going to be to pinpoint what you're referencing. So like when you're sampling in music or something, if I just make the beat around one song's drum loop or something, you're going to hear it and immediately say, oh, that's just that one other song. Like I know exactly what that is. They essentially stole it. But what you want to do during this stage is look everywhere. Not even just at clothes. You want to look at music, art, movies, sculpture, furniture. Look at it and find these small details and knit them together. So like let's say for instance, right over here, we take the shape and silhouette of this garment, the one that we circled, right? That one, we just want the shape of it. I like where the bottom of it hits. I like where the sleeves stop at and all of that. Now, I want to take this back detail right here. I like how this detail is on a pair of pants, but where can we put that? Maybe we could put that somewhere up on the collar. Maybe we'll take the bottom of this, or maybe we'll take that pocket. Maybe we can have a zipper on the side of the jacket that opens up and reveals more fabric and also makes the shirt more spacious. Maybe I just want the chest pockets over here. Um, maybe I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the ropes that we have, and somehow we connect to this. Maybe I want to have the ability to do a bag of some sort that's removable. Maybe I like the color of this, or maybe I'm referencing the drape of this or the open pockets. So I just drew circles everywhere, but I wanted to actually be able to show you all the thought process that I have when I go through these things, and I'm picking out really small details. I just want whatever it is that sticks out the most from whatever garment I'm referencing. So take your time during this part. Like, take a lot of time, because I promise the more time you take during this, the more time you become familiar with the design up here, the easier it's going to be to communicate to somebody else. And also, what's good about this is the work that you do here can be translated into your tech pack later. And we're going to speak about that. I don't want to jump ahead of it, but all the work you do here is not just for figuring out the design. It'll also be for when you're talking to the manufacturer and you say, hey, I want to do this little rope detail. And they say, well, what kind of rope? What size? Where is it supposed to go? You bring these pictures back up and you say, it's supposed to look just like that. Maybe tweaked like this. Maybe I want the color different. So that's why it's really good to take your time, go through the ideation phase, design, make it super clear to you, almost like you're studying it, because that's what you are. You're doing study, you're doing research and development, and this is the research part, and you're putting together your design. All right. So coming from the ideation and design phase, it's like, what's next? What do we do after that? Well, this is the part that a lot of people don't like, or a lot of people are going to outsource to somebody else that's more familiar with the logistical, technical back end side of making clothes. This is when you could partner with a tailor or whatever you do. But once you have the idea, the garment design in your head, at this point you might have sketched and pulled together those details from, let me go back a slide. Once you figure out all those details and you pull them together, that's when you can start doing your initial sketches and everything. But this right here, the technical specifications, this is everything that you're going to need to go into your tech pack, right? And what is a tech pack? It is simply a document that tells your manufacturer how to make your clothes, right? So there's multiple ways that people can make tech packs. A lot of people, once they get really tight with their manufacturer, they may not put as much details, because it's like, oh, they know how my stuff works. They know the shape of the t-shirt that I like to do. All I need to do is send them the material and the color this time, or all I need to send them is the graphic that goes on it. But although there's a lot of different ways to make a tech pack, because like I said, it's just your document to tell the manufacturer how to make your clothes. The things that should go in there, this is like the bare minimum to me in my experience. I've seen people do less than this. I've seen people do way more. But at the very least, this is what you need to communicate that design that you just put in your head. This is the next step of making that tech pack to tell the manufacturer how to make the clothes. So number one, you can see right here, we got measurements. That's the fit and the shape of the garment. So your measurements, like around, length, width, and everything like that, that's going to create the overall shape. Then you're going to have measurements for internal things, right? Silhouette is like if you were to lay the garment flat, and trace around the outside of it. That's the shape that you're imagining. It's the silhouette, just the solid shape that it creates. But you're also going to need measurements for pockets, different lines, different seams, everything that goes all up in the middle of that silhouette. Number two, we're going to need your materials laid out. The reason that you need to know and understand that affects the drape and the feel of the garment. So when we talk about drape, we all know that gravity exists. So when you put clothes on a person, the clothes are going to hang a certain way based on the material. If it's stiff, whether it's loose, whether it's heavy, whether it's light, and then the actual feel of it, the touch, will it be soft, rough? Will it have a texture when you touch it? So there's a lot that goes into that. These are things that you want to be considering as you're pulling that design together. Number three, colors. And I say hex codes more specifically. And the reason you want to use those codes or Pantones, whatever it is that your manufacturer uses, you want to use codes so that they're, I'm so sorry, I'm just over here pointing the comb at y'all. The reason you want to use the codes is because it creates less room for mistakes. If I tell the manufacturer, hey, I want to do a hoodie in dark blue, their perception of dark blue could be completely different than me. Is dark blue a navy? Is dark blue like a ocean blue? Excuse me. So yeah, you want to use the hex codes because, or Pantones. There's multiple different systems, color systems that people use. But the reason you want to use it is so that they can pull it up and see the exact color, not just a description of it. It will pull up the exact swatch when you use that color code. Number four, we have mock-ups. So this is to show how the garment should look when it's done. Obviously, a drawing is going to be a little bit different than physical clothes, but you can do a mock-up several ways. People hand draw them. People create them in Adobe Illustrator or Procreate on the iPad. Some people use Clo 3D, which is a 3D clothing software. The whole purpose of this is to show exactly what you want the clothes to look like. You're just communicating the idea to the best of your abilities, whether you hire somebody, do it yourself. You're showing what the clothes should look like so that they can make a sample and y'all go from there. And then finally, reference photos. This is to further help illustrate details. It should not be in past tense, to further help illustrated details. But anyway, that's why I was talking about the step before this is really important, because the more of those photos that you find to illustrate the ideas and the details, the better off you're going to be when you get to that stage of the technical specifications and you're using those photos that you already did during research and you're putting it in here and showing them exactly how the details should look. So, moving on. I'm going to use a real example going through this presentation. This is a tech pack, or pieces of a tech pack that I've made myself. And this is for a pair of pants. It was supposed to be referencing martial arts kind of pants. This is one I kind of made a little bit further in the past. This one, it could have been better. Definitely could have been better. It could have went a little bit more detailed. But I actually made this as a test. I'll probably show it in a future video. I'm not going to show it today. But I took this same tech pack and I sent it to 2 different manufacturers. Same exact information, everything. And they created 2 completely different pants. And that just goes to show it's about finding the right manufacturer that works with you, that understands what you're talking about and everything like that. But let's just go through this real quick to break down how some of those technical specifications come over here. or that, as well as things that I think is important to include in a tech pack. So over here, um, we have my color mock-up. So this is to show what the garment looks like and the correct colors and everything like that. It was supposed to be black, red belt loops, white rope, drawstrings at the bottom, stitch details and everything like that. So you want to show this so that they understand what it should look like in its most final form. But we also want to give them a black and white version, because when it's white and black, it's going to show the details a lot clearer. Because as you can see on the first one, with it being black, the seam details are a little bit harder to see. So you make sure that they get that white and black version. To the right of that, you'll see that same white and black version, but it has call outs on it. So the call outs are those little circle bubbles, and they point towards the detail that they're referencing. And it has the reference photos in there that point to the exact detail that I'm doing. So right here, you'll see the waistband and the drawstring. You'll see the knees, the ankle, the seam details, the gusset, all of that. So that's we want to reduce possible mistakes. That's number one. We want to reduce possible mistakes as much as possible. After that, we have a fit reference. Now, this fit reference is not necessarily the best, because depending on the manufacturer, they might just misunderstand it. I use this fit reference because I was trying to show how I wanted to drape, but these are sweatpants, and the material I'm making it out of was not a cotton fleece, which is what typically sweatpants are made out of. So in my brain, although I wanted it to be shaped like that, they weren't necessarily picking up the exact detail that I sent them that picture for, if that makes sense. It ended up being more confusing. So ideally, when you're sending a reference for the shape, it would be best if it's made out of the same material or a closer material to whatever you're going to do. Over here, we have the mock-up with measurements. Now, these are sample measurements, so it's only made for the single garment that I plan on making. So like, let's say this is the medium. Although there's going to be 4 sizes, these measurements are only for the medium. To the right of that, once again, a little confusing, but we could always learn from past mistakes and everything like that. Although I was asking for a nylon cotton blend, you want to be more specific. If you could actually touch swatches of fabric and find out the exact composition of it, that would be better. So whether it's supposed to be 70% cotton, 30% nylon, or whatever it's supposed to be, or what brand creates the fabric, you just want to be more specific. So I was sending pictures of different like nylon cotton blends so that they can understand that it's supposed to kind of have that cotton texture, but like the sheen from the nylon and the stiffness from the nylon. And I wasn't communicating that. Also, because when you look at these pictures, it could confuse you a little bit, because they're not all the exact same material, although they are all nylon cotton blends. When we were actually having a conversation, I did explain some of these things, but mind you, typically you're going to be working overseas. This is going to be a little bit harder due to the language barriers to communicate exactly what you're trying to do. But it's okay. That's why you guys learn from my mistakes, and then we go ahead and move on. Let me hide my camera real quick just so you can see the whole thing by itself one time. So once again, we have the mock-ups that we drew. In this case, I only did front and back, but it's always good if you do front, back, side, zoomed in details of specific parts of whatever the garment is going to be. And once again, those reference photos, we want to do reference photos of the shape, whatever the garment is that we're referencing. We want it to be as close as possible material wise to our garment. And then we want to be more clear with the fabric blend that we're talking about. Once again, I didn't do the best job, but we're all learning and getting better at this. I've gotten better. This actually is from 2 years ago, I think. But let's move on. Now, once you pull together your tech pack, you send it over to the manufacturer and you ask them to make a sample. Now, I've said this in other videos before. Do not, and I'm saying this, I'm trying to look directly in the camera. Do not do a bulk order of any clothes before ordering a sample. When you're talking to these manufacturers, they are salespeople. Typically, the person that you're talking to, like let's say you're doing Alibaba, the person you're speaking to is a sales representative. Their end goal is to get your money because they are a business. They're trying to produce sales for their company. They will do anything to get you to pay the most amount of money up front. I'm not knocking them because they're sales, they are a business, that's what they're trying to do. Just don't allow them to use whatever mental trickery techniques they're going to try and use on you to place that bulk order. They may say, hey, I can make the sample and take a photo of it for you so you can see it, and then we'll save you money that you would spend on shipping and just go ahead and make everything at once, send it over. A lot of the times, maybe not the majority of the times, when they say that, when they say they're taking a picture of the sample, they probably already produced the whole order and they took a picture of one because they want to capitalize on efficiency. They want to, when they start firing up the sewing machines and everything, they don't want to make just one. They want to use all those resources of everything, the cutting, all that to make the whole order and keep it moving, keep it pushing. So, once again, don't let them say anything that stops you from ordering a sample, getting the sample sent to you, and seeing that sample in hand where you try it on, you touch it, you run it through the washer and dryer, you do all your tests on it. Don't let them deter you from seeing the full process through. Now that we are past that PSA real quick, we are at the sampling and testing stage. So the reason I say testing manufacturers and I say it in plural is because when I made this, I sent it to multiple manufacturers. That's ideally what you want to do because you want to maximize the time that you're using during sampling. So if you have the money and you don't already have a manufacturer that you work with and have a relationship with, I would suggest testing 3 manufacturers or more. So like let's say this sample costs, I don't know, $150 shipped, whatever it might be. If you got it, even if it's just 2 manufacturers, if you have it, test multiple manufacturers and do it at the same time. That way while you're waiting, you know, the 20 days or however long it takes for them to make the samples, you want them to make them all and get to you around the same time so you can compare their qualities, and whichever one you like the most, you move forward with them. And then you're probably going to go into a round 2 of sampling. So right here, you'll see that this is during a sampling process with one of these manufacturers. They were sending me photos of the garment during the production process. So I'm like, that's another thing. You always want to ask them. Every time you do something, if you can, please send me a photo. So when you cut them, photo please. When you assemble it, photo please. When you do the finishing, photo please. You just want to be able to see all these things, and also so you can catch things before they finish if you need to make some sort of change. So on the left right here, left side of your screen, you're going to see an actual photo of the sample of the pants that we just looked at. On the right side, you're going to see screenshots from our messages on Alibaba where I'm telling them, hey, the back of the pants were supposed to look like this. You see the sales rep is sending me over a list of the changes that they were supposed to make and all these kinds of things. And that's what it's all about. At this point, we're just going back and forth. We're nitpicking things. We're making sure that it's coming out like the vision that we have in our brain. So as you're going through that process, testing, make sure you run it through the full gambit. Take it past your friends. If you got friends in the industry or just regular friends, ask them, what do you think of this? What do you think of this material? Does this work for the summer? Does this work for the winter? How does it feel like when it's on your skin? What do you think about the shape of it? This is just where you want to get as much feedback as you can, because after this is when we begin to move into, hold up now. All right, so we had some quick technical difficulties, but we worked through it. So once again, like I'm saying, over here on the left, you're going to see the pants during the sampling process. And actually, right here, they messed up the gusset because it wasn't an actual gusset. They just ended up making like a seam detail. Over here on the left, you see that they left off some details on the back. And right over here, this is the sales reps sending me a list of things that need to be changed and all that. And that's good to have because you just want to make sure that they understand completely what we're doing going on into this next stage. Yeah. So once again, this is the stage where you're fully testing everything and all of that. And making sure that you're running it past friends, running it through the actual washer and dryer, doing wear tests. So wear this regularly, see how it holds up against the outside elements and everything like that. And ideally, at some point, you're going to get to a sample that you like. When you get to the sample that you like, and it is literally the final version. And I'm saying this ideally because as a smaller designer, you have limited money or limited resources or whatever it may be. I would say that the final sample you get in hand should be approximately 95% correct. If it's 95% correct, you can make the last change going into bulk. If you know it's very simple. So like, let's say for instance, I get the final sample back on these pants and I think they look great. Only thing I want is a black rope instead of the white rope. I want black rope. So have them send you a picture of it. Make sure that the black rope is the same composition, everything of the white rope is just black. I want the same length. I want everything the same. Just make it black. A change like that, you can make. But if you're lower than 95% and a bunch of stuff is wrong, you don't want to tell them to make that change in the final process because they could still get it wrong, if that makes sense. So after you have that near perfect sample or the sample that you approve, we're going to move into bulk production and shipping. Now, what happens here? Step 1 is pattern grading. So let's back it up. You remember over here where I said we make a pattern that is for the sample. So their next step is to adjust that pattern. Well, we didn't make a pattern. We made the measurements. And then they made a pattern based on the measurements we gave. Now, they need to take that same pattern and adjust it up and down. So I need you to create my size small, my large, XL, 2X, whatever it may be. Once they have that down, now let me rewind just a little bit. If you can, because I've done this, I did this on my last t-shirts that I made. If you can, get a sample in every size. Because sometimes looking at numbers on a paper or looking at numbers on a screen, it's just not enough. Like they look right. You're comparing it to another size chart over here from a brand that you like, and it looks right, but it's just, you get it and then it's not right. So if you can, I will order a sample, even if it's blank, even if it doesn't have all the details in it, just with the overall measurements that create that silhouette. Order a sample in each size and go try it on people that you imagine. The reason I say you imagine is because people make their clothes fit all different types of ways. You have a person in your head that is the size XL and 2X wearing your clothes. You want to take that 2X shirt, top, pants, whatever, put it on them and see how that works, and continue to make your adjustments. So we have pattern grading. After that, we have cutting. When you're doing bulk production, 30 pieces, probably usually the lowest I see people do, but it could be 30 pieces, 50 pieces, 100 pieces, 250 pieces. They're going to do it in stages. So they make that pattern for each size. Then they start cutting the fabric of everything they need. They're going to cut everything. Cut out all the panels, cut out the pockets, cut out the this, cut out the that. Anything that needs to be cut gets cut in this stage. Then they move on to sewing. This one, then they pull the garments together. They connect each panel, they create the pockets, create the flaps, everything. After that, we have trims. So depending on your garment, it may have hardware or something like that on there, rivets, studs. So that's going to be your trims. They may have like literal trims that go around seams. Just basically after the main sewing of the fabric, any other little pieces that they got in there, add in there, that's going to be your trims. Finishing, that's just going to be quite literally finishing. A lot of different things can happen in this stage. Google it. But yeah, finishing, whether that means like literally pressing it, steaming it, getting the folds out of it. It could be some sort of final treatment depending on what the garment is. If there's something about the fabric needs to be treated one last time, whatever it might be, they're finishing the garment for you. They're trying to get it retail ready to go to the consumer. Then they're going to pack it up. Now, you could keep the garments in the packaging that they send. They're typically going to poly bag it, put in a clear bag, individually wrap each one. They're going to take that and then they're going to put it in a big old box or multiple big old boxes to ship it out to you. So that's the steps of production after you've done the ideating, the designing, the creating of the tech pack, the sampling. This is the final steps when you put that back end payment in there, you put your deposit to get it started. This is what's going on in the background before you send that last bit of money. So when you're about to send that last bit of money, they should send, some final photos of the garments, of the packages together. They're going to give you tracking information and everything like that. And so that's the whole process. This is a quick crash course of the cut and sew process and everything in between it. Now what? The now what is continue to research. Continue to learn about this stuff. It's just like the ideation thing. The more that you know about this process, the better it's going to be to go through it and to be able to explain things to your manufacturer. But that's essentially it. That's cut and sew. I try to make it as simple as possible, break it into smaller points that you can understand. At this point, thank you for watching this video. This is the first time I did a presentation video like this, one that's this long. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, interact, all those kind of things. If you have questions or specific things that you want me to cover going forward, let me know. Hopefully this is the last time I take a break this long from YouTube. I plan on doing a lot of other stuff. I plan on going to New York Fashion Week. All kinds of things. So once again, thank you all. I appreciate every single one of you so much. We're like 2K something subscribers. We're still going up, and I'm ready to hit the ground running and keep it going. Aside from that, I hope all of you have a great and wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.